While trying to protect the neighborhood, a group of guys become aware of a plot to annihilate the Earth. Hello there to the land of cyberspace, and thanks once again for returning to the website RealScreenReviews.com. I'm, of course, movie critic Nick Iacobucci, and our next movie review is The Watch. This science fiction comedy opened on July 27, 2012, and it stars the on-screen talents of Ben Stiller, Vince Vaughn, and Jonah Hill. This outworldly adventure comes to us from director Iacobucci, a veteran director of Saturday Night Live and of Hot Rod from 2007. He now takes quality comedic talent and a decent budget, and if he can't produce a better feature than Hot Rod, well, he better stop making movies right about now. This tale sees a bunch of guys from the land of suburbia that get together for a neighborhood watch group or program, and while doing so they uncover a large conspiracy involving aliens and the invasion and destruction of our little blue and green marble. What is usually time set aside for male bonding is now reserved for saving the planet, and are these guys really the ones we want to consider the last line of defense? Well, people, I will begin with one word, and that word would be disappointing. Now, please note that I said disappointing and not horrific, but when I measured the talents of the lead actors against the end result, there really is no other word better to describe it. Ben Stiller, Vince Vaughn, and Jonah Hill have churned out comedies the likes of Meet the Parents, There's Something About Mary, Wedding Crashers, and 21 Jump Street, and this script is just plain beneath them. They are pretty much reduced to doing standard and typical jokes that pretty much fall flat, and these characters that they bring to us bring nothing new in the creativity department. Stiller has played this part already in both the Night of the Museum movies and in last year's Tower Heist, and even though I very much like Vince Vaughn, his immature and fast rambling just seemed dialed in on this one. Then Jonah Hill came off as creepy and odd instead of fun and likable as he did in both Superbad and Moneyball. The only one of the four Musketeers that I thoroughly enjoyed was Richard Ayoade, and to me I thought that he was rather wasted in this film. This man has great reactions that are utilized by the camera very much throughout, but he is given very little to say and even less to do. It's sad when the best asset of The Watch is completely underused. Now, Rosemary DeWitt plays Abby, the wife of Stiller's Evan, and she actually brings a good role to the film. However, she's upset because she's not able to get pregnant, and only later on do we learn the reason behind that is because Evan is sterile. Now, I ask, why is this subplot even in a comedy? And given the fact that it is, who thinks that this is even the least bit amusing? This brings me to the script by Jared Stern, Seth Rogen, and Evan Goldberg, which was completely missing something. What's the word I'm looking for? Jokes, that's it. The four leads and their comedic talent help the script along, but there's only so much that they can do. To me, The Watch really wasn't offensive. It just wasn't all that funny or compelling from start to finish. You know, both Ted and the Dictator were much better on both of these levels and on many other levels throughout. Something else that bothered me was The Watch was nothing more than a 100-minute commercial for Costco, and I know that I've heard of product placement before, but geez, come on. Then director Iacobucci had no sense of how to stage or handle anything that did not involve a penis joke, and everything but that felt misplaced or out of touch. Lastly, when I found out that the brains of the aliens were actually in their you-know-what, well, that is the moment when I started to question whether or not I should have gone to see Step Up Revolution. At 1 hour and 42 minutes, I'm not going to say that The Watch was completely unwatchable, but I sure as hell am not going to stand here and call it a must-see either. This film does have some funny moments, and I would be lying if I stood here and said that I did not laugh, because I did. However, if the best you've got is relentless potty-mouthed humor surrounded by crotch references and other things that happen down there, my question is, how long can you continue with that before it gets old? The answer to that question is a heck of a lot sooner than 1 hour and 42 minutes. By trying to make the film as raunchy as possible, the filmmakers forgot to make it as funny as possible, and don't ever forget that just because it's raunchy, that doesn't mean that it's funny. You know, the whole time that I was watching this, I kept thinking that Ghostbusters achieved everything you guys were shooting for, and in that film there wasn't one F-bomb or truly vulgar word. It was a great comedy that only yesterday somebody that I know quoted on Facebook. His name is Chris, and some of you out there might know him in the land of YouTube as Spida1A. He lives in Manhattan and posted a picture from inside the New York Public Library, I think I'm going to display it right here, with the attached quote, "Symmetrical book stacking. No human being would stack books like this." All I can say is I doubt that anyone will ever be quoting anything from The Watch next week, let alone 25 years from now. Nick's real screen review is an extremely disappointing but not dreadful 2 stars out of 4, and that's for Ben Stiller and company in The Watch. And remember, people, I'm not always right, but only when it comes to the movies, and thank you for your attention.